no, I want to say, sorry to interrupt, David, because I think that makes a lot of sense, right? $3,000, that's a big number. If you're Canadian, it's worse than that. Um, but why couldn't you make that statement for Bitcoin then? Why is 16,000, when Bitcoin was 16,000 or 10,000, even 5,000, 6,000, why didn't price come into play?
I think it does, but to examine it a little deeper, when you have a hodl situation, hold on for dear life, that's what's called the float. So like in the stock market, you might have 1 million shares out, but 98% of them are tightly held. So the float, the amount that's available for purchase, is extremely small. And that's the Bitcoin world. So any new buying will take the price substantially higher. So now we're in a position where Bitcoin's roughly $100,000 per Bitcoin. It cost $100,000 to mine a Bitcoin, with Marathon Riot and the third biggest miner in the United States. So they're break even. So now you got to get a big buyer to come in so that the insiders can sell off, just like in the stock market. So, hey, let's get the US government involved. They'll pay $100,000 per Bitcoin. So they need a market. So they're trying to create one. So they have liquidity at that extremely high price where no one average can buy a full Bitcoin. No one can write a check for 100,000. That's an average worker out there. And so who has that kind of clout? Well, the government does. They'll just print up some more money and they'll create a sovereign wealth fund with gold and Bitcoin. Well, gold, yeah. Bitcoin, forget about it. But that's the reason. So there's not a lot of transactions going on in the real world of Bitcoin, where the whales are able to start selling my 10 Bitcoin, my 100 Bitcoin, my 1,000 Bitcoin, my 10,000 Bitcoin. And there's people like that that are billionaires in the Bitcoin world that bought it at a penny or mined it at a penny or 10 cents or whatever. So they need liquidity. And the only way to get liquidity is for somebody to come in. It's like a Ponzi scheme. When you get near the top, you need new buyers to buy in, and you start running out of buyers. So what do? You do your best to find new buyers. So that's Bitcoin. Who are the new buyers? Well, let's get the US government involved. And what's interesting about Bitcoin is gold is outside of the realm of the real world. I have a gold coin on my desk, but we'll use a silver one. But that could be a means of final payment. That's it. But you can't take a Bitcoin and that's final payment. You've got to use, for all practical purposes, get into Bitcoin with US dollars and get out of Bitcoin with US dollars. Yes, you could do it in other currencies, but you get my idea. It's a dollar-based system. It's not independent. Now, I'm not saying, someone could take me to task on the comments and say, well, wait a minute, David, I sold my house for Bitcoin, or I sold my car. And that's true. So in that case, you could liquidate your Bitcoin, but that's rare. But in the means of gold, you have the option. I could take the gold and use it as final payment, or I could convert it to a currency of my choice. But that type of transaction really doesn't occur much in the Bitcoin world at all. In almost all cases, the lion's share are certainly changing dollars to Bitcoin, Bitcoin back to dollars. Whereas you could go from dollars to gold and stay in that gold realm. Look at the John Wick movies. I mean, what does he do with the cleanup crew? He pays them in gold, final payment, quiet, anonymous, and we're both happy. You got paid and I got a service.
Well said, David. Finally, look, gold's marching towards 3,000. We covered some of the reasons why. We didn't even talk about accumulation of gold from central banks, but obviously, there's interest in gold right now, like you said, not from the retail investor, but there's definitely interest. But I heard you say you wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback in gold. Why?
Well, technically, it's overbought. And all the news is out and the sentiment is really high. Sentiment really works pretty well in the markets. I mean, I started thinking early on, started trading stocks at 16 years of age, that it's a numbers thing. If you knew the numbers, you knew the profit and loss statement of a company, and that works and it's valid. But really, the market's psychology. And so the more I started to learn more about how the market really works, it's pretty emotional. And so the emotion right now is really bullish gold. Sentiment is really high. Not retail-wise, but in the bigger picture, looking at the institutional side. So I think that everyone expects it to continue to go higher. 3,000 is just around the corner. It may stall out just toward the 3,000 mark. I mean, we're at almost a new high today, and this could be it or not. I just really think that there's going to be some pullback around this area. It could be above 3,000. It could be below 3,000, and that we need some consolidation. Almost all the news you need to drive gold higher is in the marketplace right now. Which, if you believe in some of the market theory, I certainly believe in all of it, would indicate that we have enough news out in the market, and it would take something very substantive to move it further. We'll see. I could be wrong. Silver, I know one of the bigger banks put out their indication, and they're fading the market. Fade is their word for shorting. They're already shorting silver. We had almost a key reversal in silver just about a week ago, which means you make an all-time high. Not all time for silver, but all time within the realm of the last several months or year. So you get to this new high of 34.50 or whatever it was. Then it reverses down that same day and it closes lower than the low of the previous day. That's called the key reversal. We got pretty close to that. Key reversals are important. As you know, I've studied these markets for years. Not always, but a great percentage of the time when that occurs, that's the top. And so silver is indicating it could be the top, and it may be. And so everyone's expecting higher and higher and higher. I do think by the end of the year we'll have higher gold and silver prices. I'm assuring everybody that's the case, and that's what I believe. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But as far as where we are right here, right now, I wouldn't be surprised for this market to cool off. More statements about we're not really going to revalue the gold. That's not what we meant. We're thinking of sovereign wealth fund. Maybe someone looks at what the cost of mining a Bitcoin is and finding out these miners are losing money hand over fist. And the only way they're staying in business is by issuing shares and diluting the hell out of their shareholders. Why is Bitcoin making near all-time highs and yet these stocks keep going lower and lower and lower? Because they're not profitable. I mean, take a look, people. I can't believe there isn't somebody on the United States Sovereign Wealth Fund proposal that doesn't actually analyze a market and see what the heck's really going on. Or maybe they do, and they're just keeping their mouths shut because it is an outlet to sell more funny money, as I call it, more U.S. treasuries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's keep our mouths
Mm-hmm.
shut. The American public doesn't know. They don't study this stuff. Guys like Morgan are nuts. So let's just press on and start issuing more Bitcoin so we have a market to sell our paper to. Who knows? Sorry for the conspirial, but I do have my hat on.